magic blue dot. Yes, I've been using this Incus device probably since November, I think I first got it. As someone who has a lot of work to do on their swim, I was really interested to see what else it could add to my training. I've been using it 4 out of 6 each week of my swims. The ones that I've not been using it on the kind of super technical drill swims that I've been doing, and I also haven't been using it in the endless pool, just because for those sessions I've been really trying to not really think about some of the other metrics like pace, but really just think about technique. I now have this whole wealth of data to look at from a swimming perspective. Like, it's helped in a number of ways. Being able to see some of the metrics, like the different rolling angle of your body, of how much you roll to the left and how much you roll to the right. For me, that's quite skewed. That's been really helpful to see the correlation between when I'm swimming well and when I'm swimming badly, and how much kind of angle of my body impacts that. Since having the Nova, obviously because it's recording all of that information, I've not used a watch at all. Focus more on the session at the time without thinking as much about the splits, and obviously not having to keep pressing my watch at the end of every rep, which is really helpful. Kat, I think you should get an Incus. But the other thing, I'm just going to show you a bit of what the dashboard looks like. So you can see you've got like a nice sort of summary at the top, which tells you like your distance, your time, your average pace. Then you can basically look at the whole session and it automatically picks up your sets. So you can see here, this is the total of the sets. Then you've got each different set, so you've got kind of warm-up sets. You can flick through all the different sets to, you can then see when you're doing speed specific or when you're doing some of the drills, it separates it out. Within those sets, you can then see that it gives you the breakdown of all the different reps. So say the set was 450s, which is what you've got here. It will then give you each of the different reps where you can see what was your pace, what was the duration, and then within those reps you can then break that down further and look length by length. My first length I'm generally pretty good and I'm quite fast. You can see this first length I did as at 111 pace, and my second length I've then slowed down to 120 pace. So you can kind of see that with that roll as to how much that impacts that. So yeah, so having this nice dashboard is, a good way of looking back at the different sessions and kind of keeping all that data, because I can see how I've improved over time. You can now use this to run with, and again, it gives you kind of different metrics around your stride, kind of how much your body's moving, and again, like different imbalances. So I think if you're someone who picks up quite a lot of run injuries, then it's maybe one to think about using. So it'll probably pick up, are you landing more on your left or your right, or kind of running in a bit of a weird way. And the thing that I'm quite excited about is they're looking at developing tech to then be able to use it on the bike as well, aerometrics. But again, just kind of how you're holding your position and how's that translating into your bike speed. So obviously if you're using it from a running perspective, you shouldn't just be changing things ad hoc based on the various metrics that you're seeing. But I think if you're getting a tight calf in your left hand side, this would probably pick up that you're running slightly imbalanced, and you could then kind of talk to a physio or a coach to get some proper advice on what you should do to change that. I can point you to a very good running coach. The other bit of tech I've been using is the Supersapiens, which is basically an Abbott Libra sensor, which is what some diabetic people use. You usually put on your arm, and it has a little needle that is then picking up your blood glucose in real time. So I was quite interested in this, having seen Kat Matthews use one around our Florida race. I think especially when you're racing long distance, clearly nutrition is a really big part of that. So I was really interested in, will this be able to help me look at when I'm doing long rides or long training sessions, like how I'm fueling for it, or even around some of the harder sessions, have I fueled correctly for it? Am I reacting in the right way to that fuel and optimizing the performance? It's very easy to use. It takes about 10 seconds to kind of get it on. It doesn't hurt either. And then it just connects to an app on your phone, gives you the live data, and it stays connected via Bluetooth for sort of up to 8 hours without having to rescan it. So again, for the sake of like a long race, like you would be able to do a long race and still get your data from it. I haven't had a huge amount of either like really long training or stuff that I've had that's been quite hard has been quite short. I'd say for the moment, it probably hasn't told me anything that I don't already know. I'm quite good at fueling generally. I know what I need to eat to get the most out of myself for a session. I think it's probably reinforced that I eat quite well and that shows. So I don't have too many like blood sugar spikes up and down throughout the day. Or if I do, it's because I've just eaten a bar of chocolate, which again, I would presume would do that. Where I will be looking to test it a bit more is when the functionality comes in to send the data live to your bike computer. Because I think then if you're doing sort of 4 or 5 hour training rides, particularly when you're starting to put in Ironman efforts, then it'll be quite interesting to kind of keep on top of actually what is my blood sugar doing? Is it at the right kind of level that I know I need to be at to get that optimum performance? If you have issues with nutrition or you're experimenting with different foods that you're not sure how they set up your blood sugar, or if you're carbo loading the right way, I think it's a really interesting tool to look at because it can obviously give you that data. I think if you're quite comfortable with your nutrition and how that works, then probably not one for you.